Hi friends, Miss Dani from the Pleasant Hills Public Library. Today we are going to learn how to make book page roses. Now this video goes along with our teen kit for the month of May in 2021. But if you don't get our kit for whatever reason, you can still follow along to learn how to make your own book page roses. It's actually surprisingly easy. You need 3 pieces of an old book. So don't tear apart a brand new one. Find one that's already kind of broken and cut out 3 squares. These squares measure 4 inches by 4 inches, but you could do bigger or smaller. The bigger you do, the bigger the rose. The smaller you do, the smaller the rose. You will need some glue, some scissors, a toothpick or a skewer or even a pencil. We're going to use it to curl the rose petals, and then something for a stem. In our kit, we are providing a piece of floral wire, but as you can see with this example, you could also use a pipe cleaner or a stick or nothing at all. Your rose doesn't have to have a stem. So let's get a little closer so you can see how these roses are made. To start, we're going to fold each of our squares into a triangle, and then into another triangle, and then one more time. So now your triangle is 1/3 the size of the original triangle. And we're going to repeat that with the other 2 squares. Ta-da! Now take one of your squares and hold it by the point with that fold line over there. We're going to take our scissors and cut kind of a dome shape all the way across to that fold line, like that. Then we're going to take our other squares and put them, making sure that the fold line is facing the same way over top, and use the first one we cut as a template to cut the remaining 2 triangles. Make sure that that fold line lines up, because if it doesn't, you're going to end up with pieces that don't match. All right, now let's open them up. Make sure that looks good. All right, we're going to fold it back up. We're going to lay all 3 on top of each other. We're going to use our scissors to cut just a little bit off of the bottom so that there is now a hole. Now we can open up all 3. And you'll see you have a little flower there. Ta-da! Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of those flower petals, use our scissors to cut out 1 petal. So you'll have 1 with 7. On your next one, you're going to cut out 2. So you will have 2 and 6. And then for our last one, we're going to cut out 3. So you will have 3 and 5. Now, what we're going to do before we do the next step is kind of fold our flower petals the opposite way that they were, so that they lay nice and flat, just kind of recreasing them, so that when they go like this, they'll all face the same direction. Now that you've recreased them, it's time to glue them. In our teen kit, we are providing some clear liquid glue, which works great, but if you have access to a hot glue gun, that works even better. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue the open sides together like this so that our flowers will be closed. When you're gluing your edges together, we are going to leave the 1 and 2 petals alone. So don't do anything with those, but we're going to do the 7, the 6, the 5, and the 3. If you're using liquid glue like I am, this takes a little bit, so make sure to hold it in place while it dries. Once you have the 4 of those glued, it's time to curl. Let's start with our 1 and 2 petals because these ones are still kind of drying. So our 1 petal, we're going to fold all over itself. So I'm using a toothpick, but as I said before, you could also use a pencil or a skewer. Doesn't really matter. You just kind of want to curl it to make a little tube. We're going to do the same thing with the 2 petal, curling it over itself to create more of a trumpet-like shape. You can always tighten or loosen it depending on how you like it to look. And now we're going to curl the edges of our glued petals. So take your tool and gently curl back the petals to give it that realistic rose look. You're going to do this with all the petals on the ones you glued. Now that everything is curled, it's time to assemble our flower. We're going to start with our biggest and work our way up to the smallest. So take your biggest one and your next biggest, so your 7 and your 6, and we're going to put glue all around the circle part of the 6. And press it on down into the 7. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to want to offset the petals so that the lines aren't meeting up. See? Now, if you're doing this with liquid glue like I am, this part can be a little tricky and sticky, so just be aware. We're going to keep going until we've got all the petals in. So, biggest to smallest, keep getting smaller as you go. Ta-da! So now you have a rose with a hole still in the middle, but it's a much smaller hole. In our kit, we provided floral wire, but as I said before, you could use anything as a stem. Whatever you're using, you're going to thread through your circle. It's a little fragile because it's still wet. I like to bend the tip a little bit to make it harder for it to come out. Pull it all the way down. And then apply glue liberally. In our teen kit, we are also providing a little bit of floral tape. This is not necessary, but it gives your rose a finished look. So when it's all dry, you'll put a little bit of tape on the bottom just to hold it in place. But as I said before, it's not absolutely necessary. Once your rose is completely dry, you can set it somewhere as a beautiful decoration, give it to a friend, a family member, make more of them, and make a whole bouquet. The possibilities are endless. Well, friends, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to make book page roses. We would love to see pictures of your completed projects, so send us a picture to pleasanthills@einetwork.net or post it to our special Facebook group, Pleasant Hills Library Virtual Programming. If you have any questions on how to reserve a kit, feel free to send us an email to the email already mentioned or give us a call at 412-655-2424. I hope you have a great day and see you soon. Bye!